All right, good evening. It is Tuesday, October 14th, 2025, 6 p.m. And I'd like to call to order the Kaiser Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Dawn's noted the attendance. We have two missing tonight, Mike Panelon and Bob Shackelford. Bob did email me, Dawn, last week saying he wasn't going to make it last week. None of us did, so we were all safe, but he also let me know he's going to be gone, so. Second item is consideration of the August 2025 minutes. I do have a question before are we not doing September minutes for the work session?
They were passed by the city council because it was part of the committee. Yeah.
Take a motion on the minutes, please.
I move to approve the August minutes.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve by Lisa and a second by Jill to approve the minutes as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously with two absent. While we have a captive audience, I just want to take a quick second to go a little bit off script and congratulate Tanya and Gwen and Mike for being reappointed to the Parks Board. That's awesome. Thank you for being willing to stay and do this good work. And thank you to the Volunteer Coordinating Committee for putting y'all's names forward. I guess it goes to council next for final ratification, but that's awesome. Thanks for putting your name out there. All right, so we're gonna have appearance of interested persons. First on the list is Rhonda. On deck will be Janice, and I'm guessing Daniel will come with Janice, yes? Okay, so Rhonda, please come on forward, state your name and city of residence for the record, and tell us what you got.
Good evening. My name is Rhonda Rich. I'm president of the West Kaiser Neighborhood Association. And I'd like to just go through a few things here. We had a meeting on October 9th, a neighborhood meeting. There were about 16 people there and passed out your Parks Fund Capital Improvement Plan. I know you're going to discuss it tonight. It's not been approved. But I just want to say, passed it out because I want people to know how the parks fees are spent and the general fund budget. We did point out that in 2930, the plans are, and I know they can change, replace the play structure at Wallace House Park. Yay, because that park is, I don't know, 15 years old or so, the play structure. And then in 3031, the new picnic shelter at Wallace House. And there's also going to be a new picnic shelter at, I think, Wallace House Park. Yeah. So that's pretty exciting because we have helped out with a lot of projects down there at Wallace House Park. It's looking great with that pathway down there. And there's a Trashy Tuesday. Next Tuesday is down at Wallace House Park. So if any of you want to join us, I'm sure Stacy would love that. So, going on, we had kind of an unfortunate incident over at Kaiser Rapids Park on September 25th to the 27th. And I just wanted to bring this to your attention because I'm going to talk to Adam about it. And we had been in conversation with Rebecca, who's the general manager of the fields. Nike we're doing an ad there. And I was notified the morning of, on the 25th, that they were going to do this. I think Rebecca, I haven't talked to Rebecca directly, but she said it's going to be low-level lighting and there wasn't going to be any noise. But it was going to be an ad that goes all night long, till 5 a.m. So what happened was they had big, about 12 lights shining towards the neighborhood all night long. So Rebecca was aware of that. I think we need to sit down and talk about, like, these kind of events cannot happen. You can't have these lights shining into the neighborhood all night, for one thing. I just wanted to share with you, sorry. I knew this would happen. One of the neighbors on Tate, she said, she was fortunate to have room darkening blinds, but the light streamed in all around the edges. Other neighbors did not have darkening blinds and got very little sleep because their rooms were lit up of 1,000 suns. All of the extremely bright floodlights, about 10, were pointed directly at our houses. It's like an alien apocalypse is happening in our backyards. maybe it's possible to put the lights on the other side of the field. They couldn't do it because these were big, it was a big setup. And so Rebecca talked to the Nike representative. I think they came around, talked to some of the neighbors there, gave them some eye shades and a package of coffee. I thought they should have given them new shoes. But anyway, we want to just make sure that, something like this, the neighbors are really, especially this neighbor, she's really happy about the fields there, and that's why she moved there. So, but having bright lights, I mean, I have pictures. It does, I mean, it's shining right in the house. So anyway, just wanted to let you know that we're going to be having a discussion, maybe Robert, you'd be involved with that too, or something in their contract too, that, there's a neighborhood next door, just be considerate of the neighbors there. So I'm here tonight excited to hear about what you have to discuss on the pavilion. And we'll probably be talking about this at our November 13th meeting. And because we haven't really heard much about it, so we're interested in your input tonight. So, thank you. Do you have any questions?
Was there noise?
But, no, there wasn't any noise. And Rebecca in her email said that she was told that it was going to be low-level lighting. And, lighting has not been an issue, we said, because of the lights that are up there. That noise has been the issue. But then there wasn't going to be any noise, so I think she was kind of not really informed as to what's going on too. So I don't put it just something that was very unfortunate that happened because it was 2 nights. People didn't get any sleep. On tape there.
Yeah.
Because they're directly, I mean, they could have put the light shining away from the neighborhood. Would have been a better deal.
And it was 2 nights in a row.
Hindsight, yeah, it's 2
Oh,
nights in a
okay.
row, yeah.
Okay.
Robert, was that permitted through the city as part of a one-time thing?
I will say yes. Adam approved that commercial to take place, ultimately.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, and I just want to follow up because I do remember Ron I'm sorry, right? If we get more shoe companies coming in, I think it's great for the community, but also we need to make sure that we're putting it on the record to not shine lights in people's windows. That's just a courtesy
Right.
thing.
Uh-huh.
But it's unfortunate that that people didn't get the message from the park store, because I know it got brought up at the park store very early on, that was going to happen, so they could have been asked the right questions. But I know it got brought up. I mean, it got brought up at least while we're at Kaiser Rapids. People were really excited about it, and it may have been before you got there.
I think so. And then Rebecca didn't send me an email till the morning of.
Okay.
So, so notification ahead of time for big events, but really there should have been maybe more consideration of, hindsight.
No, I get that.
Hindsight, yeah, so,
Well, if Skechers comes out, we'll tell them to be more thoughtful about the windows. That's kind of unfortunate, but
yeah.
sounds like the city manager was aware, and
Well, I don't know if he was or not. I thought he'd be here tonight, and I thought I'd talk to him, because I would like to sit down with Rebecca and him and have a conversation, because we haven't had that since, we appreciate you guys voting for the games being over at 9, so the lighting, so noise isn't an issue, and I haven't heard any problems, so we're
Thank you,
happy
Rhonda.
with the fields.
appreciate all your work at Wallace House
Okay.
and always being an advocate for those parks.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and Bob, I didn't see you on there, so are the 3 of you coming up together? Danny, Janice, and Bob? Just Daniel? Okay, Daniel, come on up. And if you would, please state your name and city of your residence for the record, and the floor is yours.
Okay. I am Daniel Nelson. Part of Scout Troop 7105. We're here in Kaiser. And this is my Eagle project that I have officially finished. there's a bulletin board. It's got lots of pictures. We can probably show it like after the meeting to anybody else who wants to see it. But it's got lots of pictures of what I did, how I prepped it, and what it looks like now. I know that like many of you have seen it in Kaiser Rapids, but for those of you who haven't, there it is. And I just want to share that's my Eagle project, and that's what I did.
So Daniel, just for the record, pictures are great, but we have people that might be watching online, so can
Right.
you talk through a little bit about what the project was, kind of give us some details on that?
Okay, yeah.
One second.
So this started about back in April. So I've been working since then with Robert Johnson. I've been working on first off getting an Eagle project. I asked him what I could do, and he gave me a few options, and I chose one of the options, which was to make these garbage can holders. I made 10 of them, and they're all around Kaiser Rapids. Yeah, so
It's actually kind of a big deal. You did some really
Yeah.
good work out there,
Yeah.
and I think you deserve to celebrate that a little
Yeah.
bit.
It's a huge
Because Lisa has not stopped talking about your trash cans. To leave your mark on it, so Lisa's brought it up at least 4 meetings in a row, probably is a big deal. And I think what's helpful is it's helping Robert and his team because they're not having to go out and clean up after a bunch of people. Animals aren't getting into, I mean, it's kind of a big deal. You did good work. I've ridden my bike by them, walked by them. They look fantastic. You did a very good job. So,
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank you.
you should be proud. You
Yeah.
deserve to be proud on that.
I'm very grateful for this council for providing me with all the funding I needed. Like, that was just a huge, like, weight off my back. I didn't have to worry about that. And it really goes to show just how important this council and this park like this park support is to the community. And I'm just really grateful for all your help for helping me to give back to the community.
Well, thanks for keeping volunteerism alive.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming forward with good Eagle Scout project. I can tell you, Robert tells me probably 2 or 3 Eagle Scout projects a year that come to him, most of which never materialize. And so the fact that you were able to not only come up with a good project, but you executed it very well. Lisa's talking about it a lot. It's added a lot of value into the park system. What the follow-up to this I would encourage you to go back to your younger scouts and tell them about this opportunity because it's a very unique opportunity that we have in Kaiser. It's one of the key components that we use to make sure that volunteerism stays alive. We've got the best parks director you can ask for anywhere that will give you any project that they can come up with. And if he can't come up with it and you come up with something different, Robert will find a way to make it work. All right? So go back and talk to your younger scouts that you're working with and tell them about this opportunity because there's, we're open for business to do good work in Kaiser when it comes to volunteer
Yeah,
work.
I absolutely will.
Clay, or Liam.
Parks members, if some of you don't know, I'm actually in the same troop as Danny. We've known each other for quite some time, and I was actually I was there on the Saturday that we all put them in. I got a terrible sunburn from that, but we were
Is there
there.
a good sunburn?
No, it was on my back. It was absolutely
okay.
terrible. I wasn't expecting to be there for that long. We were there for, 6, 7 hours? Maybe like 5 or 6, somewhere in there.
Yeah, that sounds about
Yeah,
right.
I can see your
Yeah.
parents nodding. Yeah, yeah, around there. And it was very fun. Lots and lots of work was done. And Danny, you should be incredibly, incredibly proud of what you've done. And I am taking lots of inspiration from you for my project that I'm hoping to get started on next year when I'm able to. And it's very nice. I go down to Kaiser Rapids, at least 2 to 3 times a month, and it's really, really nice to see that all in there. And hopefully you'll come back to the scout meetings every once in a while, because we're gonna miss you, man.
Oh, yeah.
So Liam, I have a question. I've sat on a couple of Eagle Board reviews. Would you say that Mr. Nielsen displayed good leadership during his project?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's pretty high praise from a peer.
Thank you.
David, what do you think? You're kind of in this scouting thing. What are your thoughts?
I've seen his work out there at the park, and I think he did an excellent job.
Thank you.
And he-
Anybody else?
He's doing an okay job.
Yeah?
Being that old, talking for all this old farts up here.
Right.
Anybody else?
I've already told everybody about your garbage cans. I mean, but I really love the prototype, and I mean, it was up for years and years, and like, so when I would drag people to this obscure.
She's always wanting to talk trash
No,
at the
here.
Kaiser Rapids.
I know, I'm a trash talker. But it's all right, but thank you so much, you did, it's so wonderful, it makes everybody's life easier, and it makes me happy, and I talk to people about them, because again, trash talking.
Good job.
Thank you.
Have
Thank
you had
much.
your board of review yet?
Make sure your
Sorry?
mic's on, David.
What?
Make sure your mic's on, please.
It says it's on.
Oh, I don't know.
Have you had your board of review yet?
So I turned in the papers, everything I need on last Thursday, and so I'm just waiting to hear back from the scout office, and they'll schedule a date for me. And
Well, hopefully you're still alive by the time they get back to you.
Oh. That sounded ominous.
The one thing I'll say is scouts take a lot of work by the scout, but it takes a lot of work by the parents. So I just want to congratulate mom and dad on doing a great job. This is a end of a long road, many nights, many camping trips, a lot of fundraisers. The popcorn, it's like $47 now for 2 kernels these days. It's very expensive. But I just want to congratulate your mom and dad for raising a great young man and pulling together really a super good project. So you should be proud of him. He deserves to be proud of. So Daniel, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Robert, would you work with Daniel again?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Send me more people.
I will.
Please do.
I will.
Good job.
I have, one more thing. I do
Yeah.
have, my early plans for how I built this in case other scouts want to follow suit. And I have thank you letters for Robert and you guys.
Fantastic.
So I have one
Well,
question.
please make sure Robert gets a copy of the plans because I'm
Yeah.
sure he'd appreciate having those.
Yeah.
Matt?
Yeah, Clay.
Thank you. So are there more garbage cans, or I should say, how many more garbage cans need to be done throughout the park to be,
Every single.
I mean, like how many, no, within Kaiser Rapids? How many more need to be retrofitted or,
I'd say he did maybe a third.
okay. So there are those plans could be,
Yeah, absolutely.
okay, cool, great. Thanks.
Take notes, Liam. You already got experience. Yeah. All right. Thank you again, Daniel. Appreciate it. Good job.
Can I hand these out to you now or?
If you want to give them to, yeah, actually, come on up. Why not?
How many were done? How many total orders did you guys do? 10?
Well done.
You can start with David if you want. and- You want me to read it out loud? We can pass it. We can pass it along. Thank you. Hey, round of applause for Daniel. Good job, guys. It's one of the beautiful things about this youth grant. I couldn't be more proud. All right, Mr. Schneider, you're up. And if you would, please state your name and city of residence for the record and tell us what's on your mind tonight.
I am Hans Schneider and from the city of Kaiser. And I want to just kind of fill you in what's happening with the pickleball courts. One, they have been just a huge success. And the amount of play out there has just been phenomenal. There's been a group that has been kind of managing it, and they've done an excellent job of rotating in and make sure everybody gets playing time. And so that's worked out extremely well too. There are a couple of things that we need out there. I've talked to Robert about this, some type of shade, especially in the summer months. And also, we have a little issue with some gravel that gets onto the courts and then starts to scratch up the courts. But any questions about the pickleball, let me know.
No, I know, I feel like Bob Shackelford might have brought up the gravel thing at the park store.
Okay.
I know, Robert, you're looking at a solution for that. It has been brought up within the last 60
Okay.
days, so that they're aware.
But they just a huge success out there, and people are rotating in and getting a lot of pickleball play.
Got some great drone shots of every single court full at like 7:30 in the morning.
That's not unusual.
Yeah.
I think it was down there about a week ago, and there were, the courts can hold 24 people, and there were probably 24 to 30 people sitting out, waiting to get on the courts.
Wow.
So if you build more, they will come. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hans. You know, I will say, it's almost as popular as what your volleyball courts were when you first got those built. I feel like every single week, I mean, they're still full all the time, but it's quite an attractive area at the park, so.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
One concern I have about the courts is we've left the nets on the side have the permanent posts, and then they have a crank that raises the net height and lowers it. There's a piece that sticks out on that crank that is dangerous because pickleball is played not only over the net, but at times around the net. And so I would recommend we get those set and then pull the crank off. The net doesn't need to be moved. Once it's set, set it and forget it.
That was my next question is there any reason that players would ever need to make fine?
They do not. If they're messing with it, it's because somehow somebody sat on it and it lowered it got stretched.
Yeah.
But for the most part, once they're set, it should just be set.
Sounds like an easy solution.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Rodney Dean, you're up. And again, if you would, please state your name and city of residence for the record and tell us what's on your mind tonight.
Thank you. My name is Rodney Dean, and I've been a citizen of Kaiser for 30 years. And I regret to say this is actually my first time attending a board meeting here.
Welcome.
But I'm here because of Hans's invitation. So Hans and I go back to when he put those volleyball courts in the beach courts. My son and I were just down there and saw that there was some mounds that needed to be moved, and so we started raking those, and then Hans showed up and said, "What are you doing?" But he's appreciative. So fortunately, we did it correctly. And ever since then, I've been into beach volleyball and into indoor volleyball. In fact, I just came from coaching at Chemeketa. So Hans kind of got me into beach volleyball, which I appreciate. And then he abandoned me for pickleball.
Wow.
And I resisted until COVID hit. And now I'm hooked on pickleball and beach volleyball. Thanks a lot, Hans. So I'm down there, Kaiser Rapids. I have a separate group. We're down there at 7 o'clock actually Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays during the summer. Wow. And so I've enjoyed that very much. So I want to thank this committee, City of Kaiser, for partnering with citizens like Hans and putting in the beach volleyball courts and all your work at the pickleball courts as well. I also want to say real quick that my son partnered with Robert about 10 years ago and did his Eagle Scout project with picnic tables, painting and assembling and distributing the picnic tables. So appreciate all the work that's been done there. To Clay's comment, I appreciate that about the nets. I do show up and have to measure the net height because it looks like someone's coming along and using the crank to make them tight, to make them like even across, not realizing that they actually need to be higher on the ends and lower in the middle. So we have been using the crank to loosen or adjust according to the tape measure. But I don't know if they're set. Hopefully they would be accurate. I don't know if they're set and then something happens to them, then we would lose the ability to adjust. So it's kind of a 50-50 on that. Hans has made comments about the gravel, which is true. There used to be a broom out there. I'm not sure what happened to it. But now as I walk along the sidewalk, I just kind of walk and sweep with my foot, the gravel. And then when there's stuff that gets on the courts, we're pretty good about picking things up and getting it off the courts for the most part. I would also add that it's getting to the point, it's a tough time of year, so they are getting kind of dirty and muddy. I'm not sure if we wait till the spring to to do something about that. And we've got folks for both groups that are happy to come out and do whatever you'd have us do. I know we have to be careful about pressure washing because of the grit that's on the courts. You don't want to take that off. But maybe some water, some type of soap that doesn't leave a residue, and some brooms and some people power. But we're happy to help out with that. And again, thank you for all that you do, and happy to maybe come to more meetings and continue to offer feedback as we experience the great pickleball courts that are out there, and the beach volleyball courts too.
Robert, question on the crank, is it something that can come off and on easily?
I'm not sure. I'll have to go look.
I'm just
it
wondering if
is-
like you can keep one on site.
I had the exact
That's
same
exactly what
thought.
we can do. Yeah.
Yep. You could
They
maybe
do come
hang-
off.
Take them off, leave one in the corner hanging up,
Well,
and somebody can
eventually, I
access it.
think we will have a lockbox there. Most clubs end up purchasing a lockbox. They're not expensive. They're attached to a post, a permanent post where they can't be removed. Locked, they're secure for job sites. Usually it's a construction box, and keep things in there that you would need. So, and a crank would be one of them.
And we could perhaps even get some brooms or even a squeegee. I'm not sure if we want to keep a squeegee in the lockbox, but sometimes I've seen other courts where they'll secure a squeegee or a broom to a post or something. But then who gets access to that would be another issue, but
So typically it's a combination lock, and the club runs it, so.
Yeah.
I have a question. Last year, the back shade or wind curtain was removed for removing shade because the shade was causing ice. Is that still everybody's hope this year that that gets removed again? And if so, when?
that's a great question. I can't really speak to that because I start to go indoors at this time of year.
I can tell you, that's the end of November. And yes, it does create shade all the way to the baseline and sometimes past it on that side.
Yeah.
So that would be nice. I'm not sure you need to remove all of them. I don't know about usage at that time of the year, but
See, I
guess
think
if
you're
you're
missing
gonna-
out on an opportunity. Now you have like ice skate
There you
pickleball.
go.
You could start a whole new sport.
Sliding. Yeah.
I mean, basketball was a movie. Why can't ice skating and pickleball?
They play it up in Canada.
They do. I've seen some videos.
Of course they play in Canada. Thank you.
Pickleball on ice. I've seen it.
They also curl. It's a great sport. You can get swept away with that one though. That's fantastic. I'm gonna have to look it up now, Hans. I love it.
How about the need for the windscreens on the opposite side though, Rodney? How about, could you come back up to the thing, please? Sorry. So how about windscreens? Do you feel like they're needed on that would be the north
The
side?
north side,
Windscreens typically with a cutout so you can see through.
right? Personally, I haven't noticed much wind from that side. Mostly it's like that southern wind, southwest wind, and the shades there. Hans or Keith?
I would not put it on the north side, because that's where most people are sitting down, viewing the games, socializing, so then they take out away from their view.
Hans, I hate to ask, but people are gonna be really curious about what you're saying on the TV. So you're saying important things, and I'd love to make sure we capture it on the film.
I think it would be, it's more important on the southern side than on the northern side. And so, I mean, you could try it, I don't know,
No, that's a good point.
yeah. But I think it's pretty effective on the southern side, and the northern side, again, that's where everybody sits. So.
But shade or some seating on the north side would be a good
yes,
spot.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you.
Well, keep in mind, we do have a grant opportunity. Hans is very familiar with that. He's done a couple of really good projects. And so if there's things that you all as a club start to organize and think of, keep that in the back of your mind. It's limited to the amount of money, but there's definitely an opportunity. And so if there's things, please talk to Robert about what potential opportunities exist there. Because it's very possible that could be something where as you're thinking through some of this, you might be able to apply for some funding for it.
Yes. And to recap, we have $15,000 in the grant program.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was 10 or
And-
15, but it's 5 for
Well, it's-
youth, yeah, right.
Yes, 5 we try to use for youth. And nobody's come forth with a grant project thus far this year. We're about a third of the way through the budget cycle, so we'd love to see something.
Hans is really good at doing grant projects.
And I would also add that there's another group, I don't know if it's the officially organized group, but I know there's folks in that group that have talked about helping out
Yeah.
and partnering. They talk about, there's the retirement funds just sitting there, and they're happy to invest some of it towards pickleball.
Yep.
So I can connect you to those
Yeah.
individuals if you like.
My hat's off to Robert too. We have some of the best pickleball courts up and down the whole valley here. And people, we had people playing from Australia the other day. So,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I've run into them.
yeah.
The ball spins backwards though, right?
Down there, yes. I would also add that, so tomorrow we were looking to play early at, well, we're moving it back because of the sunrise and then the temperature too. But the group I'm in, were interested in going down to Highland Park because it just resurfaced
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah, it's
We
nice.
checked it out, two dedicated courts. It looks great on the ATPs, on the sides, there's lots of room. But I'm hearing, I have to check, but I hear there's not much room on the baseline. And there's no bathrooms down there. So our group, instead of going down there tomorrow, will be at Kaiser Rapids Park tomorrow morning.
Very good.
We're speaking of bathrooms. We do have that one porta potty, but it's pretty rough. It's a porta potty in the parking lot between the dog park and the pickleball courts. But at least it's better than nothing down at Highland. So. And then on that same note, City of Salem did resurface their pickleball courts, the tennis courts, pickleball courts there by Fred Meyer Riverfront Park.
Oh, okay.
And again, same thing, they had to work within the footprint that they have, and the end line is like 3 paces from the end line to the fence. So a lot of us, again, we're continuing to be down at Kaiser Rapids. It's the best
Well, that just
one in
goes to show you
town.
can always count on Kaiser doing it right when it comes to our park system.
Thank you, yes. Well, I think Hans and Robert went down to Lynn Benton Community College and checked out their system and learned from them. So appreciate you all making that field trip.
That's awesome. Thank you, gentlemen, for great feedback. I know,
Just a fun fact for you.
yeah,
I read an article, this a couple months ago in the paper, that the US is 20 to 25,000 short in pickleball courts with the popularity of the game growing.
wow. That's 20 to 20,000 courts.
Short of the demand,
Yeah.
short of the demand, yeah.
And it's just getting more popular.
Yeah.
People like pickles.
Build them and they will come.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks, you guys.
They're a big deal.
This has been a good meeting so far. Good projects,
Lots
good
of funs.
feedback.
Lots of fun.
Rhonda's happy with this. I mean, this is great. All right, let's move on. Thank you, everybody, for coming and participating. I would encourage you to stay and listen to this next part. It is about the future of our parks, so I'd like to welcome forward MIG Consultants. Robert, do you want to do an introduction?
Yeah.
Please.
Tonight, we have Lauren Scott and Ryan Matau with us from MIG, and they have a lot of information to present to us. They put together a slideshow and a presentation, so with that, I will let them take it.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks, Robert.
Just look over the top.
Do you want to put a chair out front?
It's just, it's on the page.
Thank you for the lights.
Thank you, Don.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lauren Scott. I work with MIG. I'm a project manager there, working on a lot of long-range planning, including Parks and Recreation master plans. We had the privilege of working on Kaiser's update not too many years ago. And here with me tonight is Ryan. Do you want to say a little bit
Yeah,
about
sure.
yourself?
I'm Ryan Matau. I've met some of you through the course of this and some other pieces of work around the Kaiser Rapids Master Plan. I'm a longtime park and recreation planner and community engagement specialist with MIG.
And who's not here tonight, but we will mention, is Casey Howard, our great landscape architect who worked a lot on the facility comparison matrix and putting that together and really bringing those concepts to the ground to Kaiser Rapids. So just wanted to mention her, but we'll dive right into that. So our task was really to go out into the community and talk to people about what a pavilion or permanent shelter, we've gone a lot of back and forth about what pavilion means to different people. It can conjure up a lot of specific images that might not be shared across. So that was our first step to really do this visionary and inclusive process, allowing the community input to guide the direction rather than coming with 2 or 3 predetermined concepts for community feedback, gaining an understanding of what the community might like there, what concerns are shared, what real questions they may have. So tonight we are hoping to just briefly review the community engagement findings. And sorry, I'm going to move this microphone so I'm not weirdly leaning. Review the community engagement findings with you all. Ryan is going to really dive into the draft facility comparison matrix examples. And then our goal for tonight is to really get your input so that we can start to define a preferred concept and update to the Kaiser Rapids Park Master Plan. And that might be a possible location that is defining the size and scale and the general use of this facility, pavilion, shelter. So we delayed our outreach just a little bit just to align with Kaiser Fest, which is a great opportunity to reach a lot of different community members and conduct outreach in person. We had a pop-up booth at Kaiser Fest with some interactive boards, just asking general questions about what types of uses and activities people would like to do in a facility. So whether that's drop-in use for picnicking, gathering, if that's meetings, is that sports and fitness activities, is it reservations for special events like weddings or other types of things like that. And so really gathering feedback on a wide variety of things. Then we had a community workshop that invited some different community leaders. The neighborhood associations were invited. I think some of you all were invited to attend as well. And so that group really focused on some of the critical operations and maintenance and long-term use questions that come up with a facility like this. There seems to be a general desire for flexibility, and there's some general interest in something like this, but again, just the need to really critically plan for the operations and maintenance of a future facility at Kaiser Rapids. And I will hand it over to Ryan to dive into what we did with all of that feedback.
Yeah, one of the things that we heard really clearly in that meeting and really across the community input overall was this, like, a lot of interest in a lot of things, but not a lot of, there was a lot of need to like ground things. I heard questions that were really pointed like, well, how big is that? Or what could we do in that space? And we started realizing that what we really needed were some real on the ground examples. And so we came back, we worked with your staff to kind of talk a little bit about, well, what's the range of things that we're hearing about? What can we find that's out there on the ground that's been built relatively recently so that we can get some actual, like, what would this actually maybe cost? And to really think about how much space we're talking about. And I think that the question of how big a facility might be and how much space it might take up on the site is really critical to this particular conversation, because we're not talking about building any of these things. I want to just be really straightforward about that right now. Right now, we are not talking about building any of these things. We're talking about carving out some space to say where on the master plan would something go if we want to go down this road. And so we're not here to point that direction. You all are here to point that direction. We're here to provide you with some tools, some examples to facilitate that conversation, to ask us questions, to have something to react to, and really guide a discussion towards something that's a realistic option for a public facility and what has been done out in the world. And that's always a tough one when, you know, you've only seen what you've seen, right? And so one of the jobs that we were asked to do was to kind of come back with some examples. And so just to orient you a little bit, the electronic version of this is a great big, long, tall thing. And so we printed that out into some chunks so that you can read it a little easier and look at some of the images and the graphics a little bit simpler. But I'm going to walk through really quickly just a few of the elements of this so that we can all be on the same page. We're going to get a little bit of time for some questions to clarify that. And I do want to just start into the conversation a little bit of what looks right, what makes sense based on what you've heard, what you've seen in the use or the vision for Kaiser Rapids Park. So we're going to start with just what's across the top here. What are these facility types? What's the range of things that we're talking about? Because there is a big range of things that could happen. And there were a lot of things discussed in the community here. And we heard those as kind of a range from everything of a field house, which would be largely a concentrated like indoor or sheltered sports facility, as a shorthand name for it. Each of these names has some give. They're all a little bit term of art in that you could see multiple different facilities, much like pavilion, which feels very loose. You can see a lot of different kinds of things called that, but a field house generally is a little more sports oriented. Indoor event venue, definitely people were talking about the possibility of, formal larger spaces, rooms and amenities, maybe some separate spaces, but definitely, fully enclosed. An event hall, this is really thinking about, again, enclosed, open floor plan, thinking about like, if you've been to a market hall in another building or another space, things that are really well set up for trade show, market, farmer's market, those kinds of facilities, lots of flexibility, often, the kind of idea of like roll-up walls or openable walls to kind of expand into an outdoor space. The event shelter as a category, we're kind of talking about a larger open air shelter that really this category here is probably the closest to a fixed version of the event tent that's put up at Kaiser Fest to provide shade and kind of enclosure in that facility. And there we've given a couple of different scales of that too. And then on the far right of this big matrix, the concession stand and shelter is kind of a picnic shelter plus with a little bit of indoor space. In this case, designed around the idea of being able to sell, snacks and run, supporting amenities out of it. All of these were not just picked out of a hat. These are really lined up with things that we specifically heard, both activities that we specifically heard here in Kaiser, but also kind of combinations of activities that might be possible. And one of the things that we talked about when we did that community leaders workshop was how do we understand whether these things can they all be one, can we do one facility that does all of these things? And the answer is kind of a qualified maybe. It'll cost you, is an answer one of my colleagues used to always say, is like, sure you can do it, but it'll cost you. The other side of it is that some of these uses don't work well together. So field house uses can conflict with things like indoor events, and that kind of thing. And that's not just that they can't happen at the same time, but the kinds of facilities that you would build wouldn't work well in combination. We wanted to try to lay that out a little bit. And so as you work your way down the matrix, these columns continue. And the first set kind of just describes them a little bit. And we're going to go through each of the facility types rather than working our way down the matrix here, just different presentation of the same information. So I'm going to just zip through these. For the field house, really the best example that was recently constructed in Oregon or in the Northwest that we could identify is the pavilion, go figure. In Bend, they had to use that name because everything has to be called a pavilion apparently. This is a partially enclosed, partially outdoor and sheltered facility that is used for a variety of sports and class games and activities inside. This is a roughly $9 million facility that was built in 2014. A big chunk of that cost was because the slab that was built for this facility was built to support ice. And so there is a pretty significant chunk of that probably isn't in play here. We haven't heard a whole lot about ice slab in Kaiser Rapids Park, so we're not suggesting that, we're just calling that out because that was part of the cost here. This is about a 50,000 square foot facility, 250 by 200. All of those numbers, we used those kinds of numbers in the workshop, and people were like, but what does that look like? And one of the things that this matrix does for each of these categories is it shows what would that facility look like on Kaiser Rapids Park, not necessarily predetermining, but just showing a location and also some comparisons to just kind of give you a sense of scale that we're talking about here. So this is an existing facility. It's a little bit, it's around the same size as a football field, slightly differently configured. And obviously would have some supporting amenities around it. And so we wanted to be able to just show roughly what kind of space are we talking about there. So moving on, indoor event venues, we have a couple of examples here, and we're gonna just kind of talk through, there's one that was called the Canopy Grove Wedding Barn. This is a $2.5 million facility, essentially a barn-like structure, built very recently. It gives you a little bit of a cost comparison, visual comparison. Again, the space, the supporting amenities, how big a facility we're talking about here. And then I believe we have the second indoor event venue as well. This one was a little bit bigger, and we wanted to be able to show a little bit of that scale and variety as well, so that you can kind of get a sense of that, possibility. And so here we're talking, it's a little bit differently configured, a little bit differently sized, and just kind of how it might conceivably look on that site. The event hall, this is a different kind of facility, and really this is really maximizing that free space to put booths and to put other things underneath the shelter. The really nice, very recent example, but the cost here does include landscaping and hardscaping in a downtown setting. If you've been in Eugene, the farmer's market in Eugene built this hall a couple of years ago, and it is indoor with roll-up walls, essentially, or roll-up doors, and has a couple of restrooms and a little test kitchen in it. It is a little bit more facility built around, about 8,500 square feet. Again, similar in size to those wedding venues in rough shape, a little bit less because this facility was built in a more urban environment. It did not have the associated parking with it. It's primarily relying on street parking. Then kind of working down in scale, these event shelters are, again, two sizes of them, the Forest Street Park Pavilion and then the Hauser Creek Market Pavilion, both of which are tall, lots of free space, but still with columns. These are both wood structures and are getting down into price ranges under $1 million, which sounds appealing in a lot of reasons. Why don't we just show the scale of these again? These are not gigantic. They are bigger than a typical picnic shelter would be, but they are they're designed around the idea of these kinds of events. And then looking at this one is just slightly larger and just kind of a different configuration, different style. This has a little bit of enclosed space, storage space, and a large fireplace, which is an interesting addition. Some of these, particularly these event shelters and at the indoor event venues are actually, these are pre-manufactured buildings. They're essentially sold as kits. So that's kind of what you're seeing there. These don't rely on, independent architecture and that kind of thing. They are already pre-designed and pre-engineered. The final one, also small in scale, is we've been calling concession stand and shelter, and this is really an expanded, picnic shelter with some indoor space. This facility is an example from Tennessee. This cost, we were unable, unfortunately, to really isolate just the shelter out of some other park improvements, and so we're still kind of playing around with, can we get a better read on what the actual cost of just this building was? I just wanted to point that out. It's very difficult to find comparisons that are about one element in a park because often they're built in conjunction with a larger improvement. So just kind of quickly looking at that in context here. Again, similar-ish scale. We've definitely tried to give you a range of both size and uses. The uses are really detailed in the matrix itself. We're not going to go through all of those today, but the imagery gives a pretty good idea of that. And then the final page of this printout really talks a little bit about compatible uses and amenities. We used our best judgment in kind of assigning yes, this does work, or no, this doesn't really work. Those are not absolute answers. They are meant to be a little bit vague because it does depend on how it's designed, how it's implemented, how it's programmed. But we did want to give a general sense of the kinds of amenities, the kinds of features that would fall into these. And with that, I want to stop talking for a little bit because I'd really like to hear a little bit of your reactions to this. I know some of you have been involved in these conversations. Some of you, this might be kind of newer information. we're really excited to give you this as a tool to start a conversation. And we're hoping that some of these maybe hit closer or further from the mark that can start narrowing in on what you might like to see happen if that's the direction that you'd like to go. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you and just thank you for having a chance to present this to you.
Before we get going, Robert, so tonight, what are you hoping to achieve from the board? In terms of, are you hoping for a recommendation of, because I think the simple question is, do we put a structure of some kind back in the master plan, right? Or a recommendation towards that end?
Yes. Because
And,
currently it's not.
I'm sorry?
Because currently it's not on the master plan.
Correct, because it was taken out in the last one. So that's question one-ish. And then question two, is there a location preference that we need to discuss potentially tonight as a result of?
I
So,
was thinking over the pickleball courts.
What's that?
I was thinking over the pickleball
Of
courts.
course you're talking about that. So, but we're not saying, we're not walking away from tonight saying, yep, we're going to absolutely do an indoor event center.
no,
or
I
an
don't think
indoor
that's
event
anybody's
venue.
plan right this second, unless you're all in agreement upon that plan. But this is very fresh. I think you just got a lot of information. Probably want to
But
ponder that a little bit. Correct. The ultimate goal right here is, this is not on the master plan. So is the idea of a pavilion or something, like, do we want to get this back on the master plan? Because if so, that's a direction. And two would be, if we're putting something in Kaiser Rapids Park that's not on the master plan, what is the general concept?
okay.
And Robert, my understanding from our previous conversations was we don't need a decision direction at this meeting. We really need, but we do want to push towards that if there's a direction that you want to provide. So we wanted to be here to help provide some expertise and provide some knowledge from this information. And ultimately, yeah, location, size and scale, general use would be the kinds of things that would be needed for the master plan if you want to make a change.
Okay. Clay? No, I'm good. Oh, all right, fine. You went like that before we got started, so. Okay, so we have the experts here. Ask questions. What are your thoughts?
One thing that I would like to just put in all of your minds is like, is there something here, to the extent that you've thought about the pavilion or a facility at Kaiser Rapids Park, is there something here that fits roughly what you were thinking of, either in size or in use or that kind of thing? Is there a place to start? Or is this, all surprising? Is this all new, all surprising?
Well, I think generally there's been, the discussion's been okay about this conversation, and the question of getting it back into the master plan, I think is substantively one of the bigger questions. I think that we will benefit from a broader conversation with the community as this kind of starts to develop into, and materialize into a project that's actually going to happen. I will tell you that the feedback I've heard for the most part is people are really excited about a potential structure that has a lot of natural features to it, not a lot of composite and concrete and steel and all that. So wood that would reflect and not take away from the natural beauty that is that park, right? Landscaping is a huge part of it, but the landscaping also shouldn't conflict with things that will occur at the park. So for example, if you're going to put up some kind of a carnival, or you're going to have, whatever is part of a wedding, you don't want to create things that are incompatible with the potential uses out there. And then there's also a lot of sensitivity towards parking, but we're already seeing a tremendous amount of overflow for parking right now as it exists because of the soccer fields, pickleball facilities. And so, it's like, there are people that are very sensitive to the idea of turning the field into a parking lot, right? And so just being able to really be very thoughtful about that. But those are the people that have been in the conversations, that have been around it. I know Wes Kaiser's been there, and I know a lot of people that are generally in the know have kind of been attached to that. And I think that their feedback has been very good. I think the last meeting that I attended with you all, I think we kind of got down in the weeds a little bit more than was probably helpful. I mean, I think we got to bring it back out a little bit and everything, but I would agree. I think that if this is going to proceed, a natural look is super important because we don't put something out there that just clashes with everything, That's just my opinion. Go. You're chomping at the bit.
I'm trying to be not.
Okay.
So, this is all new to me. I have thoughts and I have feelings, and I'm a little bit frustrated just because I haven't seen anything for the general public that don't go to Kaiserfest, that don't like great big things with a whole bunch of people and a whole bunch of parking and loudness and all of that. The people that I've talked to about the parks are generally the people who like to walk in the park and play in the park and don't necessarily want to have a great big thing with a great big parking lot, because we have a beautiful park that's got all of these natural things, and the more we put in it, the less pleasant it is for the people who come to the park for the park. So, it's just, I would have loved to have been, anonymously giving my thoughts and feelings about this at some point, or be involved in the conversation. But, I hate the idea of a giant covered, and it's not just the giant covered thing, but it's all of the parking that you have to have around it. And all of we've seen in this park, when we build amenities, it keeps the natural rodent control, the natural gopher control out of those areas. So we see upticks in gophers and moles and all sorts of things that in the field where I assume we're talking about putting this, it's usually taken care of because the great blue herons and the coyotes eat those rodents. And so it's taking more habitat away, and it's making the park less pleasant for the people who just like a great big park. Even if they're just going around it, scooting past it to go in the woods where there are less people and less things. So it's just, I don't know how I feel. But thank you for listening.
Yeah, totally reasonable. And I want to emphasize too that in addition, I know I made a point of, that there's no decision made here. We're not trying to imply a decision. The other thing I wanted to emphasize is there's no decision on any of those points, including the location. Right. And I wanted to, there's a bit of flexibility about location. Obviously, you're working around what else is on the site, but when you're thinking longer term, there is the opportunity even to relocate existing things, if you're talking long enough term. So I think all of those questions and concerns are totally, valid and should be on the table. So I think that's really important.
Please.
I think the timing, the pacing of this project is overwhelming, just because I was there Saturday, Kaiser Rapids, and I'm walking, and it's going to allude to the parking stuff. People are parking everywhere. And so just thinking about what currently we don't have the parking situation under, even though if they parked in another area, they could have walked in, but there is just a lot of people. And it's a beautiful space. I completely agree that as we add fixed amenities, it's going to take away from that. And it's a beautiful park, and it's got a lot of space. So of course we want to put things in there, but I'm very concerned about the pacing of it, the timing of it. And you're right, parking, any of this is going to come with a large parking lot or space, yes?
I think that some of the smaller facilities are not, they're not going to require, I will say, like a field house, an event venue, those are going to require a certain amount of parking. The others are going to be a little bit more at your discretion. And they could be seen in a variety of ways. We've certainly seen them designed in a way that they're really meant to support things that are already happening there. We're not trying to add more users. We're just trying to support the users that are coming. We heard a lot from the community about, shade or somewhere to sit and enjoy the park if it was raining, and those kinds of things. So we wanted to address a couple of those, kind of options. And I think we talked quite a bit when we did that workshop about, what's the balance of how big of a facility before you have to be staffing it and people can only go in when it's staffed,
right,
versus a facility that is wide open and people can walk right in, walk right under the walls. And I think that was part of the range that we were trying to kind of present here as well. And I think that's a theme that we heard kind of through the conversation so far. And not implying that conversation is over, but just kind of saying, that there is that. And my question, I guess, would come back, I'm hearing a little bit about like, yeah, the where of it all, the like where it would fit and that kind of thing. And if you do have ideas about, where it would, or especially if it shouldn't, there are gonna be some technical limitations on where things can't go, but there's also some flexibility about, depending on where we're talking about, there's some space up along the, along the main road, there's some space that's a little bit deeper in. Where we've put it right now was really just for reference for the folks who kind of are used to like, oh, I know how big the big toy is, I know how big the, I know how big the tent at Kaiser Fest ends up being. This is kind of in that space, I can kind of imagine it. And so, I just want to reemphasize that choice of location for illustrative purposes here is not trying to imply that we think that's the right spot necessarily, it's just, yeah.
I would say it's overwhelming for me to consider this, and I would say, is there another option in Kaiser to locate it? I mean, I'm not, and I don't know any of the rules, and I'm not making any decisions, but could a venue like this be better suited at Kaiser Station, where we have lodging and other things, infrastructure, or road stuff, and potentially keep our parks a little bit more contained? But I'm also feeling overwhelmed with the amount of growth that park has had, and this is kind of hard, like, oh,
Sure.
Another one. So maybe timing and pacing would help me with that, but that's kind of how I'm feeling about it, so.
Can I add one
Yeah,
more
please.
thing? That's okay. To piggyback onto Tanya's, we are only in phase 2 of the turf fields, and there's another phase of more building out there. So, yeah, I mean, it's overwhelming the amount of expense and the amount of just activities happening there. I mean, and the thought of having smaller covered shelters like the one at Willamette Manor. I mean, it's small, it's got like 3 picnic tables under it, and it's great for small gatherings. And the day of the birthday party, they usually send people down in shifts to just sit there and look meanly at people so no one comes in and takes it for when the birthday party happens. But this doesn't feel that way. This feels a lot more involved. So, okay, I'm gonna stop now.
David?
It's just kind of overwhelming. Where are we going to put it without ruining, like the new grass we just put in down by the river? Where can we move? How small can we get it with still be useful? That kind of thing is what's bothering me, and the parking, of course. If it's just like an open shelter, I don't think we're going to have that much kind of problems, but I haven't been down there while they're playing soccer and pickleball and all those other crazy things. So I don't know about that. I'll have to go down and watch that.
The pickleball?
Saturday morning.
Clay wants to train you.
What?
Clay wants to train you to play pickleball.
He does? Since when did he say that?
He just now, he didn't know it though.
Oh,
He read his mind. It came out of his mind.
he's been voluntold, is he?
I think,
Gwen, what are your thoughts, Gwen?
yeah, sorry, go ahead, I don't want to.
Oh, that's good.
I was just going to suggest, one of the things to keep in mind, and I know you all deal with the master plans of your parks quite a bit, is that the ask on the table, and it may well still be a big ask. I appreciate that you guys have gone through a lot of thinking about this park. There's been a lot of action in this park. There's been a lot of change in this park. But I do think that the kind of ask that we heard in the community leaders workshop was like, can we get it back? Can we get it on the master plan so that we don't, in the course of changes, small or large, that we don't exclude the possibility of a facility like this? Because there is some desire, there is some demand for things that support the different activities that are going on down there. And once it's in the master plan does not mean it's going to get built next year, as you all know. It's not going to get built. There's no funding set aside right now for this. This was one of the things that the city all wanted to make sure that was clear right now, is it's really about the long-term view of this park and whether or not this fits and where and that kind of thing, and getting it onto that master plan, because I think several people pointed out, if it doesn't end up on the master plan, then it definitely isn't going to happen. And that's a choice too, but we just want to, we wanted to call the question and give you enough information to kind of at least think through that at some level.
Gwen, did you have any initial thoughts?
You know, we have 19 parks, so we can spread out our stuff all over the parks and stuff. So I don't really think we need some big structure there messing up our parks and our biggest park. And the money, my thought is the money. Where's that money going to come from? The taxpayers. And are we going to want to pay extra taxes for this? You know, I don't know. I mean, we have so much with our 19 parks that I don't know if this is necessary.
Clay?
I think what's been already said is timing and pace. I think it's, I mean, I wouldn't be considered one that's totally in the know in this group, but from what I'm hearing, it's a timing and pace thing. Had this been, so anyway, yeah, if we have to build a structure, I have a great place for one. So if that's what it's about, we have a great place for one.
Over the pickleball. Yeah, that's fun. I can get behind that.
I think it's important to keep the conversation for it open. I know there's a lot going on in that park, but I also know that in that park, there's a lot of bigger activities that happen, and a facility like this could be useful in the next couple of years, especially a nice open air one. They could have multiple uses. It can host birthday parties. It can host Kaiser Fest. I think this is something that definitely could enhance the park as opposed to taking away from it.
Liam?
Thanks, Chair. So 2 things. Mr. Johnson first. I can't remember, are we currently on phase 2 or phase 1 of the turf fields?
Phase 2.
Phase 2, so what's phase 3 again?
So just to recap, phase 2, we're doing concessions and permanent restrooms and redoing the approach to the soccer field. So hardscape, sidewalks, things like that. Phase 3 is going to be paving the parking lot, finishing out lighting, and we're wanting to build a new shop to store our equipment in down there, because currently right now we're storing all of our tractors in a leaky old barn that was handed down from the farmers.
It's not that bad.
Pretty bad.
The mice have given up and mostly left.
They've abandoned.
So from what I'm hearing, it does seem like, I mean, I kind of like the idea. I think it would be better if it was done a couple years from now, just because we've already got a lot more of, we already have projects in place, and a bit on the master plan. My question for you too, did you talk to city council? What was the reaction if you did, or did you come to us first?
Yeah, this is our first stop.
Okay.
We went basically from the community, a little bit of community process, kind of into some representatives of the community, and then to you as further representatives of the community. So we're kind of working our way up the decision-making chain here, just to kind of make sure that everybody's talking about the same things and put the same information in front of everybody. So you're hearing this, you're seeing and hearing this stuff first. This is, decision-making tools, not a proposal, not anything else. So we wanted to float it with you, get some of this feedback, and we haven't yet determined whether we would then revise any of the materials we're presenting or just bring some of your feedback along with that up to the board. But our intention was that we'd give you some time to chew on it, before that was kind of a decision.
So this would be more like, not like a 2-year time frame, but more like a 5-year or more time frame to get everything.
I think in terms of building things, short of big changes happening in terms of like available funding and that kind of thing, I think 5 years is optimistic. So I think that we're not talking about, I know I heard some concerns about like, we've got these projects that we're trying to finish out. We've got these other things going on. I don't think that this is I don't think that anybody is positioning this as taking away from that or taking away any focus from that, as much as starting to look out beyond what we have planned and thinking about what this park has, needs, those kind of things. And so that's how I understand the conversation at this point.
So one of the things that exists in government is contracts. And the timing on this is largely because MIG is trying to deliver on a scope of work, which includes a timeline on that. So I can appreciate that for people that don't deal in that world, maybe it does feel like it's tight, and maybe it does feel like it could be rushed. But they have a project to deliver, and the contract administrators from the city also have to deliver on that project. And so part of that is Ryan and Lauren are trying to set the stage for a planning opportunity. And the master plan is nothing more than a planning document. There's nothing in there that says, because we put a rocket launch platform at Claggett Creek Park, that there's actually going to be rockets launching out of Claggett Creek Park. But it says, maybe there's the opportunity that someday we could launch rockets out of Claggett Creek Park. It allows the opportunity. It's a planning document that allows for Public Works and for the city to go after money to say, hey, there's this opportunity. We want to do this. And our planning document also says that we want to do this. Okay. So it's not a foregone conclusion that just because something isn't a master plan that it will happen. All right. So I want to set that stage there. There's two things I believe. One, we have a couple organizations in Kaiser that do a pretty good job of trying to take care of our kids, the Rec and the Grange. Okay. Outside of that, we're really struggling to find good things for our children to do, particularly in the rainy months. And that's really problematic because when kids don't have the opportunity to do stuff, they tend to find less constructive means to entertain themselves. So what does that look like? I don't know. I mean, I think maybe having a place for them to play basketball or play futsal in a covered area is probably one. A lot of times they get run off the school property. I've seen it happen multiple times up by Clear Lake where kids get run off, mostly because, you know, other sports groups are coming in there to utilize it for practices, whether it's football or baseball or soccer. And so what we have is a regional draw for a park, and Kaiser Rapids has and always will be a regional park. That is why it's typically, in my opinion, one of the areas that's looked at to say, okay, what can we do with this? It's the biggest park, all right? Is it right or wrong or indifferent? No, but I think from a planning perspective, the question becomes, when they originally did the master plan, this was always considered as part of that process. It was taken out in the last master plan process, but I got to tell you, we did a pretty good job trying to navigate that through COVID and a whole bunch of other stuff, and this is just something that maybe should have not come out at the time. That being said, the other thing that I believe to be absolutely true is that Robert's very, very good at his job. And that when big projects like this come up, it's not going to be something that's going to be done behind the veil of secrecy, that Robert and Public Works Director will put this out to the public to have very robust conversations to deliver on what the community wants. And if that's a big glass palace, courtesy of Lyndon Zeitz, then that might end up being what it is. But I do believe that when it comes to the time that this actually materializes, if it goes back in the master plan, there's going to be a massive amount of conversation that occurs on this. So am I mischaracterizing that, Robert?
No, that's correct.
And so, like, I think what Lauren and Ryan have done is they've given us some okay examples and some ones that you go, yeah, never, right? I mean, they're just out of this world in terms of the scale and the cost and everything else like that. And so from that, I just want to take a step back, and the emotions feed our thoughts. And I think that that's very helpful because it gets our gut check on whether or not we think this is right. But just ask the question, if we have this opportunity to potentially put something out there for our kids and to do it the way that we want to do it as a city, is it worth being able to have the conversation? And I think that's kind of the simplest way to couch this is, are we willing, as a body, do we want to take something off the table, or do we want to put something back on the table so that when the time comes, we can actually have that conversation and put into play something that's going to benefit generations of users at Kaiser Rapids Park. So that's just kind of how I want to frame it, get it out of this is not happening next week. It's not going to happen while any of us are still in this terms on the Parks Board. I'd be shocked if it did. The money's just not there. This is literally just an opportunity to get back in the planning system. I'll tell you, Councilor Duran and I, as planning commissioners, sat together and we heard about the River Cherry Overlay District, and you would have expected Manhattan to happen in the next 3 weeks. And you know what? It's slowly happening. The market's going to drive it. And in this case, the market is whether or not the city can actually get the money pulled together, and they have millions of dollars in projects to accomplish before this. If you look, again, this isn't even on the parks plan for the next 5-7 years. So, again, I'm done. I just want to kind of just bring us back out of the emotional space and get us back into sort of understanding. And Ryan, you did a great job sort of summarizing that, but.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think that's a really good framing of the situation. You understand it better than we are going to. That's one of the things I want to, we're here not to say one of these is the right choice or anything else, but to help you explore it. And we were asked to, help explore it. And I definitely heard some interest, I heard some clear interest in the community. There's a lot of like, well, somewhere down the road, maybe we should do this. And right now, if somewhere down the road came up, 5-10 years down the road, somebody said they would like to do this, the first obstacle they would hit is not in the master plan. Right? So that's something that's worth thinking about. Even if somebody walked up to you in 5 years with the money to build something, it would become a problem because it's not in the master plan. It doesn't mean that it couldn't be added to the master plan, but it does, it raises a different question.
Yes.
Okay, and I just have a question for Robert, for you, for somebody. Putting this in the master plan, are we earmarking it for Kaiser Rapids Park? Or are we putting this structure in the parks master plan where if it makes sense to make a smaller covered thing at Country Glen where there's, bus service and, neighborhoods that, if there was is this just for Kaiser Rapids Park or is this somewhere in our parks?
So I don't think you're talking apples to apples. What
I
you
know.
could build at Country Glen would not be what you could build at Kaiser Rapids. So
But maybe we don't want to build something giant. Maybe we want to build 2 smaller things to spread it out so that more children have more access. So, so I know that it's not apples to apples.
whatever it is, we are, I think, specifically talking about Kaiser Rapids today and what is going or what is not going in that park. If you want to talk about Country Glen and building a smaller shelter, I think that's a whole different conversation. But specifically, I think today's conversation is about Kaiser Rapids Park and whether or not the thought of one of these concepts or something similar to it would be allowed in the park.
The agenda specifically says Kaiser Rapids.
I know, I was just, but I was still just making sure.
Yeah.
Because my thought process is different, so.
Well, I think, Lisa, you represent a group of people that do really enjoy the natural area and stuff like that. And so I think that your feelings and comments on it are very valid. And I think that what I would hope is if this does proceed, that you're bringing that perspective forward, because I think that it's a very necessary and very valuable part of it. And I think that having those conversations, because again, we were successful, I think, as a city in having conversations with the neighbors for the lights. And I think what we've achieved there is really good. The noise thing is something that really we can't do a whole heck of a lot about, but I do believe that, we've got the right people in the right place and we've got a great board with a lot of perspectives that even if we're not here in 5 years, David's going to be here. He's probably going to be here in another 30 years. He's been here since, the 1900s.
Right.
Not quite, but, there's enough institutional knowledge here. I think that even if we're not sitting here, there's nothing to prevent us to come back and participate from where Ryan and Lauren are right now to kind of bring that perspective and stuff. So, I'm really grateful that you kind of stepped out of your comfort zone a little bit and expressed your concerns, because that's important. Mr. Lawyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've been sitting here all night listening to the conversation, and one of the things that I kind of picked up on is I think the board's feeling some pressure on this topic. What's most important to staff is we get it right.
Yeah.
The current plan that we outlined with the consultants was to bring this to you tonight, and hopefully have a recommendation from the board in the November meeting, okay? That's the hope. If it means we gotta go to December, we gotta go to December. My point is, don't feel the pressure. We wanna get this right. Whatever it is, we wanna get it right. If that takes more time than we outlined in our schedule and our scope with the consultants, we can adjust accordingly. So I wanted to share that with everybody, to know while we wanna get this complete, we wanna finish it absolutely, there's not the pressure that you might be feeling to get there. We can take some time, so.
Okay. Thank you for that. We got the experts here. I would really encourage you guys to take advantage of asking Ryan, Lauren, or if it's within scope, we could ask them to come back. But, you know, this is a good opportunity. If there's things that maybe you want some additional clarification on, if we do want to come back to this in November, December, what that looks like, I want to equip Ryan and Lauren with the tools to be able to come back with the kind of responses I think that you find necessary and helpful. Because otherwise, just having them come back really probably isn't much of a benefit for them. Or we can just say, hey, thanks, we're going to talk about it again in November, which we very well could do, but I'd really like to be able to engage these folks because I think they've had the most one-on-one contact with the folks that have engaged this. So if there's specific areas of clarification that you're thinking of right now, great. If not, then maybe worst case scenario, we can send them to Robert and say, hey, unless you guys feel super great, and we're like, you know what, let's put this in the master plan and we'll work out the details later.
I talked a lot.
You did, no, I'm very proud of you.
When do we meet next?
November.
I would propose that it gives us some time to digest.
Are we not meeting in November? You know, if I would have listened to the Public Works Director, I would have known that. I've been accused of that a time or two in my life, not listening to him. Yeah, December 9th.
I mean, I would think that giving us some time to digest what we're looking at, and that would give us the opportunity to go down and look at where could this fit? You know, knowing what we know now, maybe it wouldn't fit, maybe it would fit. From my perspective, give me some time to at least be a little bit more educated on it on our next meeting.
Okay.
Chair,
Sir.
I was reminded by Dawn that November's meeting was canceled a long
Oh, yeah,
time
no,
ago.
Tanya already pointed out that
Okay,
was wrong.
so,
Yeah.
And then she pointed out that the Public Works Director had already said that, and if I was listening, I probably would have caught that.
okay,
Yeah. Publicly shamed.
it's all good.
No, yeah, thank you, Robert.
And we are happy to field questions through your staff. We've been working with them on this and bouncing things back and forth. Yeah, I'm obviously happy, we're happy to answer questions about this. We've got a lot of different experiences with different kinds of facilities. We've done some poking at this. But also, the one other thing I would put into your minds is if there is something else that comes to mind, that if you can describe it, if you can, you know, if there is something that's like, well, I'm thinking something like this. I saw this picture, or I went to this facility, or something like that, that could just help us understand where you stand when you're kind of providing that feedback. That's super helpful as well. We're trying to give you some visuals, some numbers, some descriptions, and just try to build from that. I will be the first to acknowledge this is not a perfect thing. It is, you know, it is a range of things that was set within some criteria, and we kind of tried to set out that would make sense to kind of frame this conversation. So I'm happy to hear if there are other elements that push this in one direction or another, or just a refinement of something. And happy to just put that in your head if as you're considering it, it's useful to go and poke around or think back to a park that you've been to that had a facility that maybe serves some of the things that we heard. Definitely the way that we operate when we're kind of thinking about these things too is like, it'd be great to get a picture of that, or it'd be great to find out a little bit more about that, or whatever. So just wanted to invite that as a possibility, and yeah, if there are questions, we're happy to field them in in the email, or however it works best for you all.
And I think, just to remind folks, even though we may land on theoretically a concept style or whatever, it's all subject to change, right? Because the question, when this actually may or may not proceed, could we have ever envisioned, David or Tanya back then, that we would be talking about pickleball court when we were talking about redoing Bob Newton to the degree that we did? Well, let's do three sports. We got basketball, we got tennis, we got pickleball. Well, we didn't appreciate, I think, when we did that 10 years ago, just how big pickleball really probably was, and we could have probably gotten away with it. So I think my point there is, this conversation, as it materializes, if it goes back in the master plan, is going to evolve a bunch from where we started. Now, I think getting into more of an open air thing is kind of where you're wanting to kind of couch it, right? Maybe not settle on, well, an open air with a commissary, it's kind of do we want something fully enclosed? Are we looking for something that's more modular? Do we want something that's more open air? I think that's kind of the concept. But again, that's still potentially subject to change down the road, correct?
Yeah, mostly what we need for inclusion in the master plan is really to draw out a space that a rough location and enough space so that future plans don't infringe on it. So if you're thinking, it might be as big as this, you don't want to put, a new basketball court that is halfway over that line. And giving that little bit of sense of location and scale, the uses doesn't have to be mentioned at all in the master plan. It can be simply an outline on the map that says, this is where it would go if we were going to pursue this at this point.
So in essence, preserving that, so nothing would happen in that location until such time as.
That's the idea. Generally with a master plan, probably the designers are always telling me, the biggest part of it isn't even telling you what to do or what to put where, but what not to put there. It's like, don't run your path through the middle of this thing that later would need to be, something else, in the phasing. As we've talked about, you're already working this plan in phases, right? And so you're already thinking in those modes. You're not going to go in and build a building where you're going to finish out your parking lot.
And there can be some consideration for the adjacencies, if you're having a sports-oriented facility, you may want to cluster that with your sports fields and other things. If it's an event venue or something more natural, is there a different spot to put that in? So that's definitely something to consider at this point, but it does, like Ryan said, it doesn't have to be spelled out in the master plan exactly what this is, but that's just something we would like to be considering and discussing on the table at this point, so that when, 8 years from now, someone starts to actually design this thing, and then 12 years from now, when it gets built, that there was some thought behind it about what the overall site network looks like and how all these different components at Kaiser Rapids Park work together with. I mean, you've got your fields and then you have floodplains and you have beautiful nature trails. And so those things exist right now, but can you put a facility in there that complements the park? And if so, where does it go?
So adding it to the master plan would kind of start that conversation on.
It would open the door to that conversation in the
It would
future.
open it and keep it, it's just a consideration.
Yeah.
And so Matt, my question is, if this board says no, does it go to city council still? Or how does that work, is my question.
No, functionally, I think if the board had a recommendation of no, then I think the council still has the ability to make a decision on it. Is that procedurally correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, what are?
The post board may make a recommendation to council, and council may disagree.
That's never happened. That's how we got the lights back to status quo. All right, so, I conceptually, I get this. If I were to make a decision right now, I'd say, let's move forward, let's get it back in the master plan. The general location, I don't love, but I don't know, unless we moved the dog park and then switched things around, I don't know how we would do that without incurring a tremendous amount of cost. That being said, I've also been in some of the conversations with you all, so I'm a little more familiar with it. and, you know, I've done planning work for a very long time. So I just want to go down, David, do you want to start with you? Do you want to move forward with the recommendation tonight or punt till December?
Recommendation to go ahead?
Or move this conversation to
I'd rather
December?
move it to September,
Well, we're not going to wait a year.
whenever.
December,
Yeah, okay. It sounds the same,
okay?
especially with my hearing aids not working.
Sorry. Jill?
I think personally we should make a decision now to get it to city council to start adding it to the master plan, if that's what we decide.
Tanya?
Or wait till December.
Lisa?
December.
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 Okay, so it looks like we'll see you guys back in December. What I would hope is between now and then, take a look at what you all have in front of you. If there's questions, please filter them through, Robert is okay if there's questions or areas of clarification they want to hear to this, to send on to Ryan and Lauren?
Yes.
Okay. Great.
I have one other
Yeah,
question.
please.
When is the next time we look at the entire Parks Master Plan?
10 to 20 years from now, I mean, it's,
All right, I mean, that's an
I-
answer. I just didn't know.
because we just finished
answer
it, I
that.
think it was in 22.
I can answer that. Yeah, about every 10 years, we
Okay.
reopen that book.
So 32.
Well, we did it about 2.5 years ago now, so we're
This was
we're
longer
less than 8
that.
years away from looking
Yeah.
at it again.
Okay,
We could be dead by then.
well, we could be dead tomorrow, Gwen. So,
Let's bring this back to the positive. Come on, man.
We still got a long meeting ahead of us. Let's get this thing moving.
oh, maybe.
So again, let's please make it worth Ryan and Lauren's time. If there's things to bring back, I think it's really important that we give them and Bill and Robert the tools necessary. Because what I don't want to do is get back and we're spiraling on the same area of conversation. Not that this is a spiraling, I just want to make sure that you all feel the opportunity to think it out, to digest it a little bit. And again, I just really want to couch this in, this is not a, we are making decision, this happening in 5 years. As a matter of fact, I will bet you dollars to donuts, we'll probably have another master plan discussion before this actually gets built. But the question is, can we get it in so that if an opportunity presents itself in 5 to 7 years, they can build it, we have the opportunity to do so. So just again, it's a question of, can this function in the park, and if so, how?
Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Ryan.
And everybody for your input. This is very useful and it's useful for the conversation. I think this is the conversation we needed to have.
Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Always good to have MIG. All right, let's see, how are we doing time? We're about an hour and a half in, do you all need a break, bio break, everybody good, keep going? All right, we're gonna keep trucking through, we got parks reports, Tanya, Hidden Creek, North Ridge.
Awesome. Just walked Hidden Creek today. Everything looks great. Signs are clean and visible. No graffiti or any damage. And then, and nothing to report on North Ridge.
That was easy. David, Wallace House and Ben Miller.
Wallace House is, it's like everything else, it's turning fall. And Ben Miller looks as good as it always does.
It's a great park. Jill, Willamette Manor and Meadows.
I was by Willamette Meadows. It was
Where'd you-
wet, it was rainy, but
saving the
for
best
the
for
most
last.
part it looked good, but I have not
It's-
been to the
it's-
Meadows.
What do you call it? Soggy. Spongy. Sorry, we're having a sidebar over here about spongy ground. Sorry, Gwen, I purposely skipped you because I wanted to,
Save the best for last.
I can't read. No, Gwen, please tell us about Claggett Creek and Kaiser Little League. Hasn't been going anywhere.
Claggett Creek looks really great. We have a big branch still down, but I'm thinking that's gonna come down, you know, in the spring sometime. There's one tree it's huge branch that goes to the ground. It's still attached to the tree.
Where's that at again?
Claggett Creek.
No, I know that, but
It's
where?
really close to the river.
Creek.
Oh, by the river.
Yeah, I mean the creek.
Creek.
Creek, okay.
Close to the
The
creek.
Willow, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
It's kind of in the natural area, yes, yes.
Yeah,
We're
yeah. I mean,
definitely
it doesn't look like it's gonna create a problem or
No.
anything, but, anyways.
Thank you.
It looks good. The ground was not spongy today, so I thought it was going to be, and I knew there would be a conversation about spongy, but it wasn't spongy. And then, the baseball park, that's huge. That is huge. I walked that thing, and it's really, really large. And, I'm afraid, I've heard those people come and want to do all this elaborate things to it, and I'm so afraid that it's going to take away from our Little League kids. So I just look at it and say, oh, I kind of like it the way it is. I mean, grass could be better. And that's it.
All right, Lisa, Palmacia and Sunset in Kaiser Rapids.
All right, I am going to talk about Sunset first. Sunset is always just a gem. I mean, Sunset is beautiful. It looks like it's the start of leaf season. So, but it's not wet or spongy yet. So the leaves are not dangerous or slippery or any of those things. I always see people at Sunset, and I always see multiple groups of people at Sunset. So it's just a joy. Palmacia, I saved the best for last, because Palmacia, there's one small issue where there's the sign, the Palmacia sign, the pan painted sign, has a crack and it looks like it's getting bigger. I think people might be pulling at it. So there's that. But it's gorgeous. Like, I walked and it looks like, the neighbors have trimmed some of the fruit, the caneberries. I don't know if it's the deer, I don't know if it's people, I don't know who's cleaning up under the apple trees, but that's fabulous. It's nicely mowed. And then I decided to walk down to the river. And you know what? That path looks like it's been, I know it hasn't been widened, but they've put new bark chips there. There's the Carol Dorfler bench at the top of it, which is always, you always say hi to Carol before you go down. But former Councilor Reed looked for a service project, and they went down to the bottom part of Palmacia and they cleaned so much stuff up. They widened the path. They even, the kind of sketchy path that goes to the edge, going towards Kaiser Rapids, like, it's wide, it's not, you don't feel claustrophobic wondering who's you're gonna meet around the corner. There could be more work done, obviously, but it is so beautiful. Like, I don't ever want to leave there. And I hesitated to even tell you all about it today because I don't want a ton of people down there. I like natural parks. I don't need to see tons of people. I like not seeing people. But if you are in the neighborhood at the end of Cummings Lane, is it Lane or is it, okay, the end of Cummings, stop in there. There's 4 dedicated parking spots. There's street parking. It is shaded, it has picnic tables, it has benches. I would love to see, seasonal picnic tables or benches down below at some point, but it is just so, so pretty, and it's right on the river. So, anyway, thank you. And thank you, Robert, for, helping with the program, with the project, and giving people, letting people come into the parks and make these improvements. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Now, all it needs is a fancy garbage can holder, but that person is gone now, so.
We'll come up with another one.
I know.
All right. Any others on Kaiser Rapids, or everybody, we're good on Kaiser Rapids? All right, moving into new old business. Robert, this Parks Fund thing looks great. I was really excited to look at that. It's on page 9 of your packet. Super exciting to see just how, we're replacing things that we never thought we could buy to begin with, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Thank you, Chair Lawyer. This is our Parks Fund Capital Improvement Plan. It goes out about 5 years. Again, it's a plan. We make changes to this all the time. It's something that's kind of constantly out in front of our eyes, looking at it, reprioritizing as different amenities age. And as we hear from the public, for needs and things and wants. But we just wanted to bring this forth. One of the big reasons for this is just preparing for next year's budget, obviously. The items listed in the fiscal year 26, 27 are things that we would be, you know, wanting to get built into our budget. If the board has any major concerns with this plan overall, specifically towards next year, we would love to hear about it. But like I said, it's a plan. We make changes to it all the time. You know, we anticipate things lasting a certain number of years, whether that's a playground, a sports court, our lawnmower, a vehicle, things of that nature, pathways. We're always putting estimates to things, and you're always trying to prioritize and think, you know, how long are we going to get out of this? What can we do next? Sometimes things change, things break down, lawnmowers blow up, pathways fall apart, playgrounds get destroyed, and you're constantly kind of going back to the drawing board each year, reprioritizing things, bringing those things back to the top of the list, figuring out what it is specifically that we really need to do, what do we have to get done, and that goes on the next year's budget. So with that, I would, you know, gladly take any questions, concerns, comments, changes. You love it, you hate it. This is kind of what we work off of on a regular basis.
Robert, I'm amazed you got a Ford Ranger, 2002 Ford Ranger to last until 28, 29.
Yeah.
You leave it in the garage a lot?
No. Just for the record, I mean, a lot of people see all these new fancy vehicles going around that the city drives, and yeah, we do have some really new fancy ones, and we also have some really old ones that we still use on a regular basis, and we keep those going as long as we can. That makes sense. You know, I'm not gonna go spend $20,000 on a new motor and transmission, but we keep them going down the road, and they have a purpose and a use, and we try to hold on to our vehicles. I mean, I'm driving a 2013 F-150, and I will take that to retirement if I can.
That's what I drive.
Yeah.
There's one question. I love this. I mean, the whole, it's wonderful. The construct new picnic shelter, where is that in the new grass area? Is that?
Can you specify which year you're on and
I'm
where?
sorry, it's on 28, 29, because not everybody has my laser focus when it comes to weird things. Yeah, so it is the fourth dot down.
Yeah,
Right, just east of the boat ramp.
near the river. So like a picnic shelter near the river, so you could have, you know, maybe the thought there was like a family reunion style interaction, maybe a little bit larger than some of the really small shelters we have, but have a nice view also. And be able to get a small, not the pavilion talk we just had, just to be clear.
I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna ask, like, by the original garbage can? Down that far?
Not that far
or-
down. Where-
Because, I mean, that's
there's
all I'm looking for, is not, I
Sure.
mean, I've just,
There's an existing picnic area that kind of sits on the hill, probably in that general area. But again, these are general
log.
concepts, and general can move a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the resurfacing got moved because you were successful getting the patching?
Yes.
And all that work done this year?
Yes.
Okay. The one thing that I would say is as funding is more flexible if it becomes that way, I do think that paving from Shawala down to the disc golf, I'd really like to see that. I mean, that's like the last patch, right? That's 28, 29, I get that. We're not talking 28, 29 right now, but that's one area where, as I've ridden bikes through there, younger kids are losing it because they come down that hill a little bit too fast and everything else like that. But at this point, it's way better than it's ever been with all the paving that's gone through the entire system. But if there's opportunities as projects, you know, ease up and get completed, you can kind of patch some of that. Even some of those potholes I know are getting problematic. There was a gentleman that got stuck in his car in one of the potholes. He took the turn wrong, and it took about 4 of us to kind of push him out of there. It was a car that was quite a bit lowered.
Was that right off the edge of the pavement?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That is a problem area for us that we're constantly patching.
Yep.
No.
You know, it just took the turn wrong because whatever, but, you know, it's great to have this problem because we know it's going to get fixed.
Yeah. It's interesting, you know, as years, literally years, I'm going on 18 and a half here, and it's just crazy. I'm looking at a lot of things, you know, we're putting on these lists, I'm like,
We never thought we
like,
could do
well,
it.
it's already time to replace that. I feel like we just built it, you know, and so we're already looking at doing maintenance to it, and that's something that I live and breathe, I don't know how many of you ever think about this, but like everything we build, we're at some point going to have to go replace it or maintain it on some level. And so like this is, I mean, you're starting to see it play out right here on paper is, you know, how many different things we have to replace, repair. It starts to add up and it's going to keep adding up. And, you'll see there's numbers put to all this. These are estimated numbers, of course, in today's dollars. We don't know how much things are gonna cost in 5 years. It could be double. We have no clue. But we also are very, aware that the parks budget is not going to allow us to build all of this in the next 5 years, where we're sitting currently.
Right.
So that's another conversation that will slowly be had as each year continues. How much money do we actually have to work with? How many of these can we actually take care of? And what's a 5-year list could easily become a 10-year list or a 15-year list.
But it's a
So-
way better conversation than splitting up $11,700 that we
Yes.
had for 1 year.
100%. Could
I
not agree
mean,
more.
I remember some of those early meetings were going,
Yeah,
all right, do we fill the crack or do we make sure somebody doesn't fall in the hole?
yeah.
It's impressive, and I think that everybody here would probably echo that you guys do a great job managing the resources you have and putting them to the most appropriate and effective uses, while still maintaining a super high level of volunteerism. And I know that
Trying.
Mr. Dean and Mr. Schneider are gonna come back with a great grant. They're just chomping at the bit, ready to do it. And that's super important, because that was a core tenet of what we wanted to maintain while we're doing this. And so I just want to appreciate this. I mean, it's astonishing. We've been through, this is our second sort of 5-year plan. And
Yeah.
we never thought we'd get a month plan, let alone a year plan.
It's weird writing down some of these numbers, 30, 31. I'm like,
Yeah.
when is
Oh, I
that?
know.
That feels like that's forever from now. No, it's not.
No.
It's a great list of projects.
And I'm one
Thank
of
you.
your biggest cheerleaders. Like, I tell anybody who will listen to me, and some people who don't listen to me, how wonderful you are. And
She
how
does.
wonderful, yeah.
Thank you.
It's embarrassing for people around me.
Well, and the cool part is we've got through this project list and I didn't hear pickleball out of Clay's mouth once. Because I think for the first couple of years he was on here, it was like pickleball, pickleball, pickleball. Hey, don't forget about pickleball. Hey, Matt, don't forget.
No, at first it was tennis courts.
That's right. That's right. It was tennis courts to start with, wasn't it? No, Clay's like Mr. Tennis. He was Mr. Tennis. When I met him when I was a very young man, like, yeah. Okay, fine. Grumpy. Is there anything else on this?
Not on
All
my
right.
end. Anybody else have any questions for me regarding this? Any extreme
Clay just did the keep it, yeah. You're welcome to leave, Mr.
changes that you see need made
Recommendation to
immediately?
Switch to Dodge would be my only.
Oh, my
Just kidding. I'm
goodness.
just kidding, I just wanted to say that to you.
I second.
How dare you?
Sorry. I
So,
was gonna say it after the meeting, but I just decided to.
Threw that in.
You said so.
no, so we have, moving on to 6B, unless there's anything else for Robert on 6A.
I just had one question about the paving down to the disc golf, and we're talking about where it dead ends at that gate.
Well, no, because it would go Shamawa all the way down, yeah?
So, what we're talking
Right,
about here is at the end of Shamala Road where the pavement ends and becomes gravel.
Right.
You take that first left heading to the disc golf parking
Okay, because
lots
when
that are
I
already
think
paved.
of the disc golf parking lot, I think of the ones that are along that.
No.
That gravel road, and I know that people drive so fast.
Yes, and because of that speed issue, we don't really
Yes.
want to pave that.
Okay, and I was wondering if we were going to add traffic calming devices or something just to slow them down, because they are ridiculous.
Yeah, we actually had an incident down there with a vehicle about a month ago that was driving, what I was told, close to 80 miles an hour and went all the way down through the private properties and turned around and came back out.
All right,
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
not cool. But no,
perfect.
to specify, end of pavement, go about 20 feet, take a left.
Yes.
And pave that through to the existing end of pavement.
Okay, absolutely, that
Yeah.
would be fabulous.
And I wish it was as easy as just go pave it. There's gonna be
Yeah, yeah.
some grading that's gonna need to be done
Yeah.
and
Stormwater and all the things, yeah.
drainage. So there's a reason that didn't get paved in that initial
Yeah.
piece, because it's gonna be a little bit of a costly tie-in.
Is there gonna be additional right-of-way acquisition to do
No.
multimodal on the shoulder?
Right away for what road?
Are you wanting two-way traffic with a 8-foot?
No, I'm just concerned,
What do you,
like, as you go by Alvarez's place.
Yeah.
There's not really a dedicated sidewalk?
No, there's not a dedicated, so are you asking for a dedicated
No,
sidewalk?
I was
through
asking
there?
if that was part of it, and that's, the answer is no.
I did not, because we don't have a sidewalk leading to that. I did not have, the thought of a dedicated sidewalk through there.
Okay.
But we can, as that gets closer, have that discussion.
The
Now we know where
right-of-way
the
was
sidewalk ends?
back where you, that tree you cut down on the,
Oh, we got the surveyor here.
just as you go, that last tree that was up by the driveway?
Yeah,
That's where the right-of-way is.
yeah. Unfortunately, when the amphitheater was built, there was a land exchange. It was actually a
Right.
good exchange at the time, still is. But we used to own the roadway that takes through that corner, which would be kind of nice to have now in one sense, but a land swap was done to get land to put the amphitheater in. And it made sense, it still makes sense.
Is
As
that
we
where
continue,
The
you know,
weird tip on that property comes?
yes.
About the, okay.
So it's gonna be more accessible, just not gonna have a dedicated, like,
I don't know if that's gonna be possible.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, without some extreme things happening. We have that big pond down below that is hindering that.
all right, so 6A, 26 meeting dates, May 12th is the budget meeting. Do we, any desire to have a May meeting, or should we go ahead and just recommend canceling that?
I just have one question. Sorry. I wish Shani was still here because she's usually missed one more question. The only reason, we had to have an emergency May meeting this year because of grants.
Right.
So I wonder, since it's so close to the end of the fiscal year, if we need to schedule one that we could always cancel or not schedule one and have to do an emergency meeting.
Wasn't that meeting in April?
Maybe.
I
Smart
think,
man.
So,
But you know what, it was at the very, very end of
Yeah,
April,
yes.
but it was, yes,
Robert?
thank you. I'm sorry for calling you smarty pants.
from a grant standpoint, staff would love to see all grant approvals approved no later than April, because that's
Right.
only giving them 90 days to finish. May is really cutting it tight.
Yeah,
Not to say it can't be done. We've seen a lot of different projects approved in May, finished by June 30th, but you're mid-May on the meeting, you're 45 days out to completion.
yeah. Okay.
Most projects need more time than that. So I would hope that we could have all the grants ran through the board and approved before the May meeting.
I think maybe we just bring that back as a
If-
policy discussion, just change the rules to say if you don't apply by X date in April,
You could, or you.
Without an exception.
We've done the emergency meeting, you meet real quick, you vote on the grant and away you go. If for some reason it didn't happen in time and it meant that much to the city and the board, then that's another approach, whatever.
Okay.
I don't know that I'd plan an entire Parks Board meeting just around the idea
No,
of a
absolutely not.
grant coming in May.
Right.
okay. So is everybody okay with, for now, just canceling the May meeting? Is that, and then also the September meeting, because we have the Parks Tour
Yes,
with the council?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
So, do we need a motion?
I don't think so. It's
Okay,
not an action
because
item.
I would be willing to do a motion, but
No, I think it's just consensus on that.
perfect.
Robert, anything else on the staff report?
Couple minor things, nothing crazy. We were able to take our shade sails down at the Big Toy today, so those are put away, safe for winter. Obviously get those put back up next spring when it starts to get hot again. Be looking for our seasonal boarding floats to be removed down at Kaiser Rapids, at the marine facility. Once the Willamette River reaches a certain height, we'll go get those taken out for winter. We've been working on some fall pruning throughout our parks, mostly Kaiser Rapids. Lots of bushes down there. They're really starting to add up. It's taking a lot more man hours than that ever used to be, so I'm very hesitant about planting a lot more commercial landscape. It becomes quite a challenge to maintain after a while. And leaf season is starting, absolutely. This last little batch of weather started knocking some leaves down that we've had to start dealing with, and we will be 100% focused on leaves for the next 2 months. And whatever your guys' term you like to use as far as squishy, soggy, slimy parks, we will be living and breathing that. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. Counselor Duran.
I don't really have anything tonight. I appreciate all the input you guys have given on the pavilion. That was interesting to see what the information that was given, and so that was definitely a benefit to be here tonight for me. And I appreciate all of you guys' hard work on this. That's it.
Good to have you here. All right, so since Mike isn't here, anybody want to do the 20th? That's not Lisa? I'm just kidding.
Well, it's okay. I mean, I'm always a backup.
I know.
So-
I'm just teasing you.
No, I understand. I mean, I'm obviously perfectly happy to
But she's gonna
talk
be there
about it.
anyway.
But, so is Gwen.
Who hasn't gone in a while?
I haven't gone in a while.
Do you want to do the 20th?
Yeah, I can do the 20th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not that we don't love you.
And if you can't, just let me know.
Sounds good.
Let's see, so our next meeting will be December 9th because Veterans Day is in November. Couple quick things. Back in September, on September 13th, Counselor Kohler, with his church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Thank you, Robert, by the way, for bailing me out once again and helping get a good project for those guys. Went down to Kaiser Rapids, did a whole bunch of work in the back natural area, some path work, a bunch of, what was it? 20 yards total, something of hog fuel that was put out through the whole facility?
Closer to 30.
Okay, so what I'll tell you is we did all the trees around the Arboretum, put some hog fuel out there. We did a whole bunch of work out in the back area. It was a great project. A lot of people came out. We were done before the food was done, just because it was a very efficient, and just really appreciate Councilor Kohler coming forward once again. This will be the third project that his group of folks has done in, actually third or fourth. Anyways, lots of projects, many tens of thousands of dollars worth of work done. So it was like a Kubota car show. There were so many Kubota tractors that showed up that day. And at one point, I couldn't figure out which one was actually the city's. Thankfully, I had the keys, so I was able to get that figured out pretty quickly. But really, really great work there, and always appreciative of Councilor Kohler bringing that forward and Robert being flexible and pulling that out at the last minute. So lastly, I just want to kind of give you guys an update on the Gold Star Families Memorial Monument. We got kind of stuck in a rut, mostly because we were waiting on some funding. What I'll tell you is I'm really thankful the Home Depot Foundation, courtesy of my good friend Matt out of Albany, came forward and has provided a little over $20,000 in grant money for that project. The foundation has been poured for a long time, but we're actually moving forward with the concrete bid to finish the plaza, as the group likes to call it. We have all of the lights for the flagpoles, for the monument itself. The bases for the flagpoles are in, and so a whole bunch of stuff is going to start happening probably in the next 20 days, and getting that ready for, hopefully, I'm still fingers crossed, a December unveil, if not first part of January. But you know, it's been an incredible community project. I'm so thankful for Kaiser Rotary and everybody that's come together to help bring this up, and really looking forward to it. I mean, I think that the artwork that's going to go in on this is beautiful and is very representative of the sacrifices that those families have gone. But you know, Public Works Director has been great getting information put out and moving it forward, and Adam's been helpful where he's been able to engage and get those things done, and really looking forward to that project being done. It's going to be pretty incredible. So anything else for the good of the order tonight? Liam?
Thank you, Chair. So, the McCanary Performing Arts, which I'm part of the orchestra, will be performing Monday, the 10th of November for our Living History Day Assembly to honor veterans for Veterans Day. I am not entirely sure, but in case it is, I'll say this now, I believe it is open to the public. I'm about 80% sure on that. We will invite veterans to come back, and they'll go around to different classes, and they'll tell their stories of being in various different branches of the armed forces. Last year, I was very thankful that I had actually two different people. I think one was a naval veteran and the other was in the Army, who both served in Vietnam, come into my Spanish class last year, and it was very nice to get to talk to them. But the performing arts will be performing. The McNary Wind Ensemble, our top band, will be doing Stars and Stripes Forever, and then a medley of all the different themes for the different armed services branch. And then our Highlanders Classics Choir, Wind Ensemble Band, and Advanced Symphony Orchestra will be combining to perform Battle Hymn of the Republic. It is one of my favorite things we get to do throughout the year, and it's just a wonderful piece to come and listen to. So if you can make it on the 10th of November, time I'm not quite sure about, probably around 10 a.m. or so. Please come down. It'd be great to see people there.
Is it McNary?
Yes, McNary in our gymnasium.
Very good. All right, well, big meeting, lots of people came to chat. Thank you, everybody that came and provided public testimony. We stand adjourned at 8:01. Thank you, good night.